And find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and on the web at KBLA 1580.
That's right.
Again, you can find all of our socials at KBLA 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
By the way, if you miss any of our weekday shows in real time, you can always catch up by checking out the podcast of your favorite shows at your leisure. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Got your black.
Keep following the leader.
Oh my God.
Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader.
Hey Zoe, I'm calling your show, 'cause I need to know. Show me which way to go before I throw my man out the door.
Okay, hold on a second, Keisha. Just let me ask Ronald exactly what's going on, because it takes two to tango, and I need to hear his side of the story.
So she's driving me insane, got stress heavy on my brain. She keeps playing silly games, man, I'm about to bring the pain. We seem to fuss and fight every day and every night. Please give some advice so we can see the light, see the light.
We're going to be taking on a very common theme that I bet many of you have encountered in narcissistic relationships, which is that compartmentalization. You're thinking, how could you go from being so mean to me and then be out in the street and be absolutely charming as though nothing happened? So let's talk about compartmentalization in a very sort of interesting new way. I want us to talk about it as a bit of a two-way street in narcissistic relationships. We often just focus on how narcissistic people compartmentalize. It's a little bit more complicated than that. People who are narcissistic are really good at compartmentalizing. And for this reason, they are able to do things like have affairs, even have affairs with your friends, lie to people, pop back from an emotional situation, and just get back to work. It can be very unsettling for people to observe, and can leave people wondering how that a person can just pop in and out like that. How is a person able to keep all of these truths separate and sort of not break a sweat? Like have their different sorts of personas and their different versions of reality and just break it all up. Now, when it comes down to brass tacks, psychopaths are the real master of compartmentalization. They are able to lead double lives and triple lives and even quadruple lives and not get caught for lifetimes. They are masterful liars, masterful manipulators, and they are built to deceive. Narcissists are not as skillful at lying as those who are psychopathic, but they are very good at compartmentalizing, which can feel very, very uncomfortable. Compartmentalization is a defense of sorts. It's putting conflicted uncomfortable stuff into boxes and then putting those boxes into storage, which can protect the person against the anxieties and the conflicts and the issues raised by these conflicting situations in a person's life. Affair or family life? Do I make this shady business decision? Or do I do it honestly and not get the new sports car? Do I engage in have the scandalous behavior? Or do I want to be viewed as a family person? With the boxes, if you put those boxes away, the narcissistic person can walk through these more internally inconsistent spaces with ease because they've just sort of boxed everything separately. However, compartmentalization is not just about managing shifty moral behavior in a self-serving way. It's actually something that can even happen in survivors of trauma and result in a clinical presentation that looks somewhat detached and with a sort of restricted emotionality and affect. It's interesting because in narcissism, it's in many ways a manifestation of the more superficial level of emotional processing and functioning. That's what we see in narcissism, is that emotions don't get processed deep. The more superficial the emotional processing, the easier it is to compartmentalize. And because...
Wow. The faker the feelings, the easier it is to compartmentalize. And when you're compartmentalizing, you can live a quadruple life with no feel. This is deep. Tonight's topic, we got another one. From self-rejection to redirection, a deeper look at the self-sabotaging avoidant. Now, what I really love about this show is we have created like a national think tank. This show right here. People are calling from all over the country, right, to talk, to share, to expound, to pontificate. And it's amazing because I would say now 90% of these topics are coming from all over the country. And this one, of course, comes from Houston, Texas. Attila Phillips, she wanted to talk about this. And I'm like, yo, let's do it. And a lot of people don't understand why someone may sabotage a relationship, right? They may do something to just destroy the relationship. But I think the purpose of this show, the voice of this show, so to speak, is to have these kinds of difficult conversations because many people don't know where to start, right? Many people don't know what to look for. And we're trying to have all the discussions that we didn't know we needed to have. And this is one of them, from self-rejection to redirection, a deeper look at the self-sabotaging avoidant. What is self-sabotaging? Well, it's a noun, right? Behavior or thoughts, especially of a involuntary or unconscious nature, that are harmful to one's own interests or development. Self-sabotage is a tactic often employed by people with avoidant attachment styles, i.e. fearful and dismissive. This is used to keep the balance of power in the avoidant's favor. This tactic is done at the expense of the avoidant and the anxious partner. Now, when you hear avoidant and anxious, just understand this. There are 4 attachment styles. John Bowlby, Mary Ainsworth, that was their work. Attachment styles are a style of relating that you model from your primary caregiver, okay? So there's 4 of them. 3 are maladaptive. 1 is considered, normal, for lack of a better word, right? But of the 4, there are only two categories of attachment styles. Again, one is secure and the other one is insecure. And of the insecure attachment styles, there are three different styles. That being, namely, anxious preoccupied, which has a worthiness wound. They might be a chaser. They might chase after you. There's that anxiety. Where are you going? Where are you going? Right? There's a worthiness wound associated with that. People pleasing, all of that. That's anxious preoccupied. And then there are two different types of avoidant attachment styles. One is dismissive avoidant. Those are people who staunchly hold on to their independence because they had to learn to take care of themselves in early childhood. They knew the person I loved the most, whatever primary caregiver that was available, may have missed opportunities to validate their full emotional spectrum. So they learn to do it themselves, self-soothing. That's a dismissive. So independence is very important. And then there's the fearful avoidant, which contains two wounds, an anxious wound as well as an avoidant wound. And when they become anxious, they tend to swing avoidant. So there's a pendulum that goes on in the fearful avoidant, i.e. the disorganized attachment style. So this is very heavy tonight. And oftentimes people with these maladaptive attachment styles may in fact sabotage the relationship. Hey, if it's getting too good, if we're getting too close, or if you're triggering my anxiety in any way, shape, or form, there's some deactivation strategies that happen. So sabotage is par for the course for the avoidant. This is very deep tonight. I want to know what you think. Many people don't know what their attachment style is, and I would just simply say, go online, take a test. And I think the measuring rod for the test is that you just tell the truth, because many times you can take a personality test and you can answer from an idealized perspective, right? You can answer from the perspective of this is who I think I am, as opposed to this is who I really am. If you're answering from the perspective of this is who I really am, you may get a more accurate breakdown of what your attachment style may be. And I've said this on numerous occasions. I've said, when you find out the attachment style, and listen, I've just come into this knowledge very recently. When you discover the attachment style, that's going to tell you more than tell me what you did to end your last 2 or 3 relationships. How did your last 2 or 3 relationships end, and what was your fault in it, right? That's going to, when you find out the attachment style, that's going to tell you far more than that question right there. Like how did your last couple of relationships end, and what was your responsibility? If somebody tells me I'm fearful avoidant, I'm going to know, ooh, wow, fearful avoidant. You were terrorized in some way in your early childhood. A fearful avoidant, as a baby can look at the primary caregiver, and if that primary caregiver looks frightened, looks scared, because of mirror neurons, the baby is going to be like, well, what's wrong with you? If the primary caregiver looks terrified, the baby's going to be like, whoa, they're going to mirror that, right? And if in fact the source of that child's love is also the source of their terror, they're going to be conflicted. They're not going to know, is it safe to get love from the primary caregiver? Because they're going to be afraid. So you have worthiness wounds and you have anxiety in the disorganized attachment. And again, self-sabotage is par for the course for these or for people with this particular maladaptive attachment style, whether it's dismissive or fearful or even anxious, preoccupied. But help is on the way, and I'll tell you why. Because every attachment style, even secure, can change. All right? It can change, right? You don't have to always be a dismissive avoidant. You don't have to always be a fearful avoidant or an anxious, preoccupied person. You don't have to stay that. You know, what connections can be drawn between childhood CPTSD, self-sabotage, and other avoidant behaviors? Are avoidant behaviors automatically an indicator of CPTSD? Can self-sabotage be a tactic developed in response to opportunists seeking to take advantage of the avoidance worthiness wound and self-esteem wounds? How does having a narcissistic parent impact the likelihood of adopting self-sabotaging behaviors? Is it possible to be securely attached and still engage in self-sabotage within relationships? Can a securely attached partner circumvent an avoidant partner's deactivation strategies? Man, oh man, a Shevitz. When I come forward, you know what I'm going to do. I'm going to open up the phone lines for you to join this discussion, a national discussion about relationships. We need to have this talk. Let's get it.
Reasons. The reasons that we're here, the reasons that we fear, our feelings won't disappear. You're listening to the voice of reason with Zoe Williams on KBLA Talk 1580.
All I need is one mic.
With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. Just a few short months ago, California Attorney General Rob Bonta filed 11 felony charges against Diana Turan, an assistant district attorney for Los Angeles County. The charges allege that Turan unlawfully accessed confidential computer data, including police officer files in 2018, and continued to use them after joining the DA's office in 2021. Ironically, Turan, who is now on administrative leave, oversaw the Public Integrity Division, responsible for handling high-profile cases of police misconduct and public corruption, including the charges brought against LA City Council member Karen Price last June. To be sure, the case against Price has raised plenty of eyebrows. Indeed, one noted legal scholar has said publicly, and I quote, "Everything about this prosecution reeks," close quote. Could A.G. Bonta, with aspirations to become California governor, be punishing Turan for her role in D.A. George Gascon's police accountability agenda to curry favor with police unions? Could D.A. Gascon be using the case against Price to showcase his tough stance on crime and political corruption as he vies to retain his seat as D.A.? Honestly, I have no idea, but here's what I know for sure. Karen Price has been elected and re-elected by thousands of voters, mostly black and brown, who stand to be further disenfranchised if this matter is not handled correctly, which is why it matters to us at KBLA Talk 1580. When the prosecutor is being prosecuted, it seems to me that at the very least, there ought to be a thorough, top-to-bottom, independent review of all cases under Diana Turan's purview to ensure that none of these cases have been tainted. Justice and fundamental fairness demand no less, if public trust truly matters. And I hope it does. For KBLA Talk 1580, I'm Tavis Smiley. We welcome your feedback.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 believes in community empowerment. LA's 99 neighborhood councils form the grassroots level of the Los Angeles city government. The system was created to connect LA's diverse communities to City Hall. While neighborhood council board members are volunteers, they are also public officials elected to office by the members of their community. Neighborhood councils advocate on issues like homelessness, housing, land use, emergency preparedness, public safety, parks, transportation, and sustainability. They also provide local expertise on the delivery of city services to their various communities. Neighborhood councils are open to participation by anyone who is a part of the fabric of daily life in said community. This includes those who live, work, or own property or a business. If you are interested in stepping up to join your local neighborhood council, visit www.empowerla.org. That's empowerla.org. It's time to think globally, but act locally. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
You know you want some more. It's the voice of reason with Zoe Williams on KBLA Talk 1580.
They say I'm crazy, I really don't care. That's my prerogative. They say I'm nasty, but I don't give a damn. Getting girls is how I live. Some ask me questions, why am I so real? But they don't understand me, or really don't know the deal about a brother trying hard to make it right. Not long ago, before I win this fight, say, everybody's talking all this stuff about me. Why don't they just let me live? Tell me why. I don't need permission to make my own decisions. That's my prerogative.
So this person is asking, how can a narcissist like cheat on you but still tell you that they love you? And if you're new here, I'm a narcissist. I actually have narcissistic personality disorder. So a lot of narcissistic people, toxic people, are very, very good at compartmentalizing things. Like boxing different sections of our life into different parts of our brain. So this is the section that has my relationship in it. This is the section that has the cheating in it. These boxes are separate. So in my mind, I think that I can cheat on you, or that narcissistic person thinks that they can cheat on you, but still love you because my cheating doesn't affect how I feel about you. My treating you badly and lying to you doesn't mean that I don't love you. So a lot of narcissistic people can be extremely delusional and think that you can cheat on someone and still love them completely. And you'd be surprised how often this works, y'all. Just telling somebody that, hey, like, I know I cheated on you, but I still love you. I didn't love the other person. I was just sleeping with them. It was just physical. Me and you, what we have is emotional. Emotions matter more than the physical. And typically, when somebody keeps repeating things to you, sooner or later, you start to believe it. Sooner or later, it gets caught into your brain, and it becomes like a mantra or an affirmation. I love you, but I cheat on you. I love you, but I cheat on you. I love you, but I cheat on you. Me cheating on you doesn't mean I don't love you. And sooner or later, if you hear it enough, you might actually start to believe it. So look up compartmentalizing.
Hold on. I like that guy. I do. The self-aware narcissist. I like that, brother. But sometimes this is where we get into muddy waters with the narcissism talk. Yeah, you can cheat on somebody and really love your partner, right? You can absolutely cheat on somebody that you really love, right? So this is why I say it gets a little muddy, because I think you change one word in what he's saying, and that is, if you're actively cheating, like affair after affair after affair, like that's just what you do. That's who you are. You have your person, but then you continue to cheat with other people, right? I think you have to give that distinction. You have to give that clarity. Again, you always have to factor in WIP, works in progress. People make mistakes. People fall short. Sometimes you can get so overwhelmed in your own wounding that you may think a triangulation will bring some level of peace or some level of quiet. Oh, well, I get a different level of peace and quiet in this situation than I do at home. but then you may come back to your senses and realize this has only exacerbated what is going on at home because I'm splitting my energy. I'm blending my soul with somebody else. So I hear what he's saying, but I just want to make the distinction that it is possible to cheat on somebody that you love, because you don't want to paint such a black and white narrative that if you love somebody, you wouldn't cheat on them. And if you cheat on them, you're somehow narcissistic, right? You may have narcissistic tendencies, but you might not be clinically diagnosable as someone with NPD. His point was about compartmentalization, though, and how people can compartmentalize and put things in little boxes. But when you start to add in all the other characteristics that is indicative of NPD, what you're going to find is that person you're clinging on to lacks empathy, right? They don't really feel. They can perform feelings, but they don't really feel the feelings that they're performing. And these are signals and signs that we want you to watch out for. Man, this is going to be big tonight. I can't wait to get to the callers. We have a caller on the line right now. Attila from Houston, Texas. What are your thoughts on this whole avoidance and sabotage and what is going on? Talk to me.
Child, I don't know. Whoever made that topic, what's wrong with it? No, I'm just kidding. Let me just say, though, in making the topic, I did try my hardest to try and connect these ideas. So I just kind of wanted to explain a little bit and then move forward. But I do feel like I'm really glad you started with the compartmentalized video, because a lot of people don't realize how much they do that themselves. They have compartmentalized. That's a long word. They have sectioned off certain areas of their life and left their partners out of it. So it's no wonder why you have infidelities and different things like that, because, to be honest, I don't really think we allow people in the chambers of our lives a lot of times. I think that
stay right there. Stay right there. Let them marinate for a second. We don't allow people into the different chambers of our lives. When we come forward, we're going back to Houston, Texas to get the rest of this tea.
All these strange relationships really gets me down. I see nothing wrong with spreading myself around. Everybody's talking all this stuff about me. Just let me live. Tell me why.
He's on fire tonight. It's the Voice of Reason with Zoe Williams, exclusively on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network. Mayor Muriel Bowser isn't happy with the budget passed by the Washington, D.C. Council last month. The mayor, who is black, returned the budget to the council without her signature this week. The mayor said in a statement that she could not support a budget that increases property and income taxes and could lead to more tax hikes next year. The budget could still take effect without the mayor's signature, though it still needs to be approved by Congress. The U.S. Navy has exonerated over 250 black sailors who were unfairly punished in connection with a 1944 explosion at Port Chicago Naval Weapons Station that killed 320 people, mostly black sailors and civilians. The Navy has concluded that these surviving black sailors were unfairly treated, including being tasked with cleaning up the blast site, including human remains, while white officers were given time off. The punishments affected their ability to receive honorable discharges, despite many returning to work at the port and serving throughout World War II. That's the latest. I'm Amber Payton on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network.
Dodger fans, come watch the boys in blue take on the Boston Red Sox. The 3-game home series begins on Friday, July 19th at 7:10 p.m. with afternoon games following on Saturday, July 20th and Sunday, July 21st. For tickets, visit Dodgers.com/tickets.
Follow the leader.
KBLA Talk 1580.
Follow the leader.
If you're not following KBLA Talk 1580 on all of our socials, then you're missing out. Download our app and find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and on the web at KBLA 1580.
That's right.
Again, you can find all of our socials at KBLA 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
By the way, if you miss any of our weekday shows in real time, you can always catch up by checking out the podcast of your favorite shows at your leisure. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Got your blood.
EPA.
Keep following the leader.
Oh my God. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader.
Helping to broaden your political and moral imagination with our 2024 Climate Justice Campaign. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
To help combat climate change, LADWP is helping neighborhoods have better access to electric vehicles by awarding nearly $130 million in EV rebates to customers just like you. From big savings on used EVs to building new charging plazas, LADWP is charging ahead to help all Angelinos experience the benefits of EVs. Get rebates of up to $4,000 for a used EV and $1,750 for a charger. Learn more at ladwp.com/EV. That's ladwp.com/EV.
Looks like Bobby needs a ride again.
Grab the keys. Let's take our auntie to the swap meet. Grab the keys.
Whether you're giving rides or hauling gear, do it all in a Chevy SUV. Head to your local Chevy dealer, where well-qualified buyers get 1.9% financing on all 2024 Malibu, Colorado, Blazer, Equinox, Trailblazer, and Traverse limited models. Chevrolet, together, let's drive.
1.9% APR for 36 months. Monthly payment is $28.60 for every $1,000 you finance. Example down payment 15.8% must finance with GM Financial. Some customers may not qualify. Not available with lease and some other offers. Take new retail delivery by 7/1/24.
Hey, LA residents, it's planting season and the perfect time to get shade trees growing around your home. LADWP and City Plants are giving every resident up to 7 free trees. That's right, 7 free trees delivered right to your door. Trees are great for the environment, help improve air quality, and can help you save on your bill when you use less air conditioning to stay cool indoors. Learn more at ladwp.com/free trees. That's ladwp.com/free trees.
Hey, John, why so glum?
I just got let go. The company's downsizing. This is the 3rd time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. mycomputercareer.edu.
Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African-American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Stay Housed LA has the resources you need to know your rights and the legal support to back them up. The COVID-19 pandemic has cost people their jobs and livelihoods. This has left an estimated 1/3 of households not being able to make rent and facing losing their homes. This is a fear no one in our community should have to face. You have rights, though, and Stay Housed LA is here to help. Stay Housed LA is a partnership between the County of Los Angeles, the City of Los Angeles, and local community and legal service providers. Together, they provide tenants with the information and support needed to exercise their rights so they can remain safely in their homes. Find out more about your rights by participating in a virtual tenant workshop. Get the legal assistance you need. Find additional resources in Los Angeles County and the City of Los Angeles. Stay connected to Stay Housed LA County for updates. This and more at stayhousedla.org. Stay connected to Stay Housed LA for updates. This and more at stayhousedla.org. That's stayhousedla.org. Or call their hotline at 213-694-0040. We've got your black with a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Zoe Williams. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Listen for the telephone, but when it gets your call,
Hi, my name is Thais Gibson, and I'm the co-owner and creator of the Personal Development School. This is your daily breakthrough video, and in this video, I want to talk with you a little bit about the different types of deactivating strategies for fearful avoidance specifically. I actually think of all 3 insecure attachment styles. Talking about activating and deactivating strategies is most important for the fearful avoidant, because I think that their activating and deactivating sides can be very confusing, really keep them in that state of ambivalence, and fearful avoidance the most out of any insecure attachment style become identified with these things. So I'm going to talk to you all about what that means in this video. Before I dive into the content, a really quick reminder, we are doing everything we can right now to support our community. I'm making a daily video almost every day as much as I possibly can. And we're offering scholarships. You can contact my team at info@personaldevelopmentschool.com for different scholarship options. And we are also offering 25% off bundles right now. So for memberships who are here on an ongoing basis. So 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. And the coupon code is with you, all one word, and it's for 25% off. So somewhat substantial to just really support everybody right now, basically. One thing that is in there as well is we have a sense of community that we're really building. I'm blown away literally every day and we talk about specific things, and people can share personal questions and connect with other people. And for anybody who's watching this who is a member of our school, I just, thank you from the bottom. It sort of spills outwards. So, okay, so let's talk about this. Types of deactivating strategies. In this video specifically, we're going to do the activating and the deactivating side. And in another video series, because honestly, I want to give a lot of value in it. I don't want to just skim the surface, because these are not skim the surface topics, to be quite honest. They deeply impact human beings and their attachment styles. So what I'm basically doing right now is a series about the types of deactivating strategies and what they more specifically look like for the different insecure attachment styles. And then I'll do a separate video about strategies to break through some of these things specifically, okay? So 6 types of activating but also deactivating strategies for the fearful avoidance specifically. Number 1, they share physical distancing deactivating strategies with the dismissive avoidant, where they can, when they're, and you know this, if you're a fearful avoidant watching this, when you're angry, you're like, don't touch me, don't come near me, right? Now, that is usually smaller than your activating side, where you want closeness. So usually you'll see that that only happens if you're really upset or really angry. You need that physical space, that flee mechanism sort of kicks on, that flight mechanism, right? At a subconscious level. And then the other side of that is that sometimes the fearful avoidant activates very much through physical closeness. They really want affection. Sometimes after a fight, you're making up with your partner and you really want that physical closeness. You want to be hugged or held or connected to. And this is a huge pattern I've noticed amongst all fearful avoidance, is that sort of polarity there. And again, you'll see that there are these polarities, which can create these really high highs, but then these really low lows, and it can be confusing and make relationships challenging and difficult because of that disparity between the two sides. And the more healthy and healed we become, the more in balance we become, and the more rooted we are in fulfillment and joy, instead of that pleasure and pain cycle that starts to happen instead. So again, in a separate video, I'm going to teach you how to balance these things out. But that's number 1. And I will mention.
So self-sabotage in relationships can be reclassified as deactivation strategies for people who are avoidants in their attachment styles. It's very interesting. Self-sabotage is a complex phenomenon that often stems from deeper psychological wounds and attachment styles. When we examine the behavior of individuals with avoidant attachment styles, such as fearful and dismissive types, we see a pattern of self-destructive tendencies that may ultimately hinder their own growth and relationships. This behavior, whether conscious or unconscious, serves to maintain a sense of control and distance in relationships at the expense of true intimacy and connection. Drawing connections between childhood complex post-traumatic stress disorder, self-sabotage, and avoidant behaviors reveal a troubling cycle of trauma and maladaptive coping mechanisms. Individuals with avoidant avoidant attachment styles may have experienced significant attachment wounds in childhood. Let me stop right there. If you've experienced significant trauma in childhood and you've developed a maladaptive attachment style, an avoidant attachment style, an anxious attachment style, listen, a fearful attachment style or disorganized attachment style, but understand this. Normal human failings are going to hurt worse. Your attachment style makes sense for you because that's what you used in order to survive home, in order to survive mama and them. Do you see? So that makes sense to you. Like, this is how I maneuver. This is how I cope. This is how I survive. However, it becomes problematic because it prevents you from being in a relationship with a human being who is prone to fail. See, the failure that you haven't been able to get over is the failure that came from your childhood. However, your primary caregiver failed you, when they failed to show up, when they failed to make you feel worthy, when they failed to notice you, when they failed to show you appreciation for being you, for being there, when they failed to pour into you, it all becomes this rigid kind of scaffolding around your ego, and it is an author of expectations that your partner must fulfill. That's why, in your mind, you're saying, this is why you're here. I didn't get this when I was raised, so I gotta get this from you. So it actually shortens the gap. There's no space for humanity. It's, you have to deliver what I didn't get. Do you see? And this is why there's so much talk out there about how maladaptive attachment styles and narcissism kind of walk the same walk a little bit, right? Because, again, for that maladaptive attachment style, I need the supply that I wasn't supplied when I was a child. I didn't get this when I got to get it from you. So then there's a devaluation process. Ooh, Lord. You're not giving me what the wound is demanding, so you're not the one. As a matter of fact, you're giving me the opposite of what the wound demands. So you're definitely, do you see? 1-800-920-1580. When I come forward, I'm going back to Houston, Texas. We got Mountain View, Hawaii. We got folks on the line. We're going to get to y'all when I come forward.
Is it good to you? More Voice of Reason with Zoe Williams when we come forward.
Hi, it's me, Gia Peppers. Tune in to More Than That live on radio this weekend or wherever you get your podcasts. This week, I'm talking to visual artist Reina Noriega about investing in art, the power of the Black creative, and how artists can turn their creativity into capital. This episode of More Than That is brought to you by Buick, combining beauty and technology to deliver luxurious experiences. Buick, exceptional by design.
At the very root of it all, we are storytellers. It's so important for our voices to be heard, not only as Black artists, but as Black curators and as Black collectors and as Black museum and gallery owners.
I love it.
There are now a lot of people of color that are creating events that welcome the community and welcome diversity. But there still are some of these older galleries that have a certain mindset and run a certain way. When we have some stake in making these decisions, we can push for change for more Black women artists. as a culture, that makes us so much stronger.
How do you recommend that people really stand out in this landscape and get their stuff in front of the right investors?
My advice is always to go within first, to figure out who you are, what your purpose is, what your passion is, so that you can speak about those things confidently and passionately, and it will resonate with people. While I was going on my own inner journey, I also started to realize that I needed to do things for me and not for external validation. When I did that, it had a huge impact, and people definitely resonated with that.
That's really good.
But I think people have to be really disciplined. They have to be open to learning more skills. They have to be open to putting themselves out there, to networking, making sure people know what it is that you do and what it is that you want to do, so that they can recommend you for things. They will hear you, they will champion you, they will celebrate you, and that will make waves.
Many homeowners and businesses use man-made stone as an alternative to traditional stone for their countertops. Handling these products puts workers' lives at risk. Without proper conditions, workers could die from the terminal lung disease silicosis. Employers must supply respiratory protection and water systems. It's essential to wet stone when cutting it to prevent breathing in dust. Do away with dusty, deadly practices. Visit WorkSafeWithSilica.org. This is a message from Cal OSHA.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
You know you want some more. It's the voice of reason with Zoe Williams on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's a sweet little girl. You can treat her right, real nice, and hold her tight. Only tenderonis can give the special love, the special kind of love that makes you feel good inside. If you believe in love and all that it can do for you, give it a chance, girl. You find romance, and if you find the tenderoni that is right for you, make it official. Give it your love.
Hi, my name is Thais
Thais is back.
Gibson and the co-owner and creator of the Personal Development School. This is your Daily Breakthrough video, and in this video I want to talk to you about the core wounds of the dismissive avoidant attachment style and how to really understand what these are, where they come from, and the more conscious awareness we bring to these subconscious patterns and programs, and the deeper...
Wait, before we get into her, because I know she's going to do her little promo stuff at the beginning. Before we get into her, I want to go back to Atala. We'll come back to that specific one, and we'll start it after her promo. But Atala was on to something, and I don't want Atala to lose that fire. Atala, please continue your thought on how you were setting up and framing this discussion for the listeners.
Uncle Zoe, good looking out, because you know I will forget.
Yes.
So something that I kind of thought about in regards to making this topic, I believe, this is just my theory, some people might disagree, it's probably going to be a whole bunch of people that disagree, that is fine. But something that I've discovered in doing my own work is that I believe that the compartmentalized thinking that I developed was a result of a reaction to people, opportunists, taking advantage of my self-esteem issues and my worthiness wounds.
How
Okay.
so? Yes,
And
give me an
so,
example. Yes.
yes, because I think you develop a certain level of armor, right? And so essentially, if I can use like linear thinking, for example, linear thinking says A plus B equals C. And so I think as a child, you're trying to make sense of the negative attention, the negative feedback that you're getting from others, right? And so if the feedback is affirming, unfortunately, the negativity that comes with the wounds of worthiness and the wounds of self-esteem, then I'm going to reject myself so that you can't reject me and create self-sabotaging behaviors that make what I believe to happen to be so. A plus B equals C. It has to. It has to make sense to me. And so I think part of the issue, and Ghetto Gourmet even brought this up in the chat about men cheating and it being in their nature. What's in your nature is linear thinking. It has to make sense to you. But what's not in your nature, rather, or something that I think we all have to develop, is the ability to circumvent, create circular logic, if you will, that connects the wounds that you have, that can connect the reasonings why you do what you do. It's not just the A plus B equals C all the time. The question is, why do you do what you do?
Now,
and so until you get to that,
no, finish. Until you get through that, go ahead, finish the thought.
Well, I was just going to say, until you get to that place, you're going to continue to do these actions and kind of blame it on, like I said, some surface level understanding. And it's really due to the internal fortitude that you lack.
So let me ask you this question, because you're very young. You know, you're a youngster, and my thought process is, this is driving me to ask this question, like,
sure,
just based on how you were raised and your particular attachment style, have you found yourself sabotaging and compartmentalizing in order to keep yourself safe?
All the time. That's why I think one of the questions that I asked was, does this kind of like leak over or spread over into other parts of the avoidance lives? I asked that question on purpose because the only answer is yes. It's not just in relationships.
The only answer for you is yes, because this is how you live, right?
Correct. Because again, we have to remember that the trigger is rejection, and rejection comes in many forms. So if you are linear thinking and you think that this is about relationships, you're sorely mistaken. This is about rejection. That's why I titled it From Self-Rejection to Redirection. You have to redirect the rejection that you've already put towards yourself based on the feedback that you got from other people. Does that make sense?
Yes, because now you're digging even deeper. So if the primary caregiver who bestowed upon you a particular type of attachment style, if they reject you, does that often lead to self-rejection?
It did for me. Absolutely. I mean, if the very people that, I think what's wild, this is also why I asked the question about the narcissistic parent, because I think what's confusing in that, if you're dealing with, let's say, a father that's overtly narcissistic versus a mother that's covertly narcissistic, that's that fearful avoidance, because you get two different messages.
Right.
Right. So if I'm getting the message that I'm not good enough, that something is wrong with me, and I use that to reject myself, but then I'm also simultaneously getting favor for certain behaviors or activities that I do, it's very confusing for a child. So you place value in the place that you can get the acceptance.
So the covert narcissist, the example could be put downs, devaluations, you're not good enough, you could have done better. When I was in your position, I always rose to the top. What's wrong with you? I expected more of you. So there's that covert, backhanded, you're my child, so you should be doing way better than what you actually are doing. And if it were me, because when I, and then me, and then my, and when I was your age, the covert thing. But then on the overt side, it could be narcissistic rage.
Yes. So it could also be direct apathy. Too.
Yeah. So if
they just don't care what you do, really.
So if you got those two dynamics, the chances of becoming a fearful avoidant might be high, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And something that always puzzled me as a kid, I'm like, how is it that I can go out into the world and my teachers are like, oh, she's such a good student, she's so this, she's so that, and then go home and it's like, you're lazy, you're this. And I'm like, how is that possible? I'm like, when I tell you I was mind blown. And I think what's sad about growing up in a space like that is that there is nowhere to voice your concerns. And so you do try to make sense of your world through linear thinking. But that also leads you to the place where you're doing things with no recourse for your actions. And so that's where I think the compartmentalized thinking plays a role, because I have to have a space for every thought, especially if these are thoughts that are not very, affirming. I have to place it somewhere.
So let me ask you this.
And
No, finish the thought, and then I'm going to ask you a question. Go ahead, finish it.
Well, I was just going to say, when you enter into a relationship as you get older, your partner may or may not get a chance to see those rooms of thought that you have, and chances are the answer is no.
So if your primary caregiver cheated you in some kind of way, did they create in you a magnet for the cheater to come to you?
Oh, okay. You getting personal over here.
I'm just asking. If you got cheated in your childhood.
I mean, that's a possibility, or you can become the cheater.
But do you see what I'm saying? Because listen, just like we mentioned earlier, rejection, right? You're rejected by the primary caregiver. It teaches self-rejection. Right? You're going to magnetize somebody that may reject you because there's a fear of it. And if you're chasing, you're setting up the rejection because you're chasing, right? Anxious, right? So wouldn't the same be true if your parent cheated you out of attention, out of nurturing, out of empathy, right? If they cheated you out of anything, did they place in your spirit a magnet for the external cheater? When we come forward, these questions and more will be answered by my august phone lines. Let's get it.
She's always on the phone, talking to a homeboy, wishing they were home alone. She sent you lovely letters with the smell of sweet perfume.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network. Mayor Muriel Bowser